Hey there folks, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be diving into a topic that is both conversation starting and controversial, the population collapse. That's right, you heard me correctly. The population collapse has already begun, and it's not something we can afford to ignore any longer. You may be thinking, what? How can that be possible? The world's population is still growing at an alarming rate. But let me tell you, that's a common misconception. The truth is, many countries around the world are already experiencing declining birth rates and aging populations, which can have devastating consequences for economies, healthcare systems, and even national security. Now, I know this may sound like doom and gloom, but I assure you, there's hope. By understanding the root causes of population collapse and taking action to address them, we can work towards a sustainable future for ourselves and generations to come. So grab your popcorn and get ready for a thought-provoking discussion on a topic that's sure to spark some controversy. Let's dive in. So here's the deal. We're quickly approaching a global population of 8 billion people, and it's growing faster in some areas than in others. China, for example, has been the world's most populous country for centuries, but it recently reported its first population decline in 60 years, and it's not looking good for the future. According to the UN, China might have only half of its current population by the end of the century, and India might overtake it as the most populous country on the planet. Now, some folks are freaking out about this news, thinking it's a sign of China's impending doom, and a warning that aging populations could lead to major economic and social problems. Others are looking at the bigger picture and seeing population control as a way to address environmental issues that are threatening our planet. But here's the thing. When rich Westerners start preaching about population control in poorer countries, it reeks of hypocrisy. Let's be real, folks. The rich have a much bigger impact on the environment than those in developing nations, and there's often an uncomfortable element of racism in these calls for population control. What is a population collapse? A population collapse refers to a significant and sustained decrease in the number of individuals within a particular population over time. This can be caused by a variety of factors such as declining birth rates, increased mortality rates, emigration, or a combination of these factors. In some cases, a population collapse can have devastating consequences for a society, such as reduced economic growth, strains on healthcare system, and declining levels of social cohesion. In extreme cases, a population collapse can even lead to the collapse of a civilization or society. It's worth noting that population collapse is not the same thing as a population decline, which refers to a temporary or reversible decrease in population size. Population collapse, on the other hand, refers to a more permanent and severe decrease in population size. Are there popular or famous people that have predicted a population collapse? Yes, there have been several well-known individuals who have predicted or warned about the potential for population collapse. One of the most famous and influential voices in this area was the economist Thomas Malthus, who in the late 18th century wrote a seminal work titled An Essay on the Principle of Population, in which he argued that population growth would eventually outstrip the planet's resources, leading to a catastrophic collapse. More recently, other notable figures have also warned about the potential for population collapse. For example, in the 1960s and 1970s, the biologist Paul Ehrlich gained widespread attention for his book The Population Bomb, in which he argued that overpopulation would lead to a global environmental crisis. More recently, the physicist Stephen Hawking warned about the potential for overpopulation to cause environmental and social crises. And the environmentalist David Attenborough has also spoken out about the need to address population growth in order to achieve a sustainable future. While opinions and predictions about population collapse vary, it's clear that many experts and public figures recognize the potential for population growth to have significant impacts on the planet's resources, environment, and societies. Has a population collapse started in the world? While it's difficult to make sweeping generalizations about the entire world's population, some countries and regions are currently experiencing or are at risk of population collapse. For example, Japan, Italy, and Spain are facing rapidly aging populations, declining birth rates, and shrinking workforces. In some cases, these countries are already experiencing population declines, which can have significant economic and social consequences. Additionally, some regions of the world are experiencing population declines due to environmental factors, such as climate change and natural disasters. For example, some island nations in the Pacific are facing population collapse as rising sea levels and increasingly severe storms make it difficult for people to live and work in these areas. So while it's not accurate to say that the entire world is experiencing population collapse, it's clear that some countries and regions are facing significant challenges related to declining populations. It's important to understand these challenges and work towards sustainable solutions to ensure a healthy and stable future for all. What's driving population collapse? There are several factors that can drive population collapse. Declining fertility rates. In many countries, fertility rates have been declining for decades, which can lead to a natural decline in population over time. Aging populations. As people live longer and have fewer children, the proportion of older adults in the population increases, which can strain healthcare systems and lead to a decline in workforce participation. Environmental factors. Climate change, natural disasters, and other environmental challenges can make it difficult or impossible for people to live and work in certain areas, leading to population declines. Economic factors. Economic instability, high unemployment, and lack of access to basic resources such as food and water can also contribute to population decline. Political factors. Political instability, conflict, and war can force people to flee their homes and communities, leading to population displacement and decline. It's worth noting that population decline is a complex and multifaceted issue, and the specific drivers will vary depending on the region, country, or community in question. Understanding the root causes of population decline is an important step in developing effective strategies to address this issue and ensure a sustainable future for all. What are the disadvantages of a population collapse? There are several potential disadvantages to a population collapse. Economic challenges. With a declining population, there may be a smaller workforce, which can lead to challenges for businesses and overall economy. This could result in reduced economic growth, increased costs for social programs, and higher taxes. Strains on healthcare systems. A declining population may result in an aging population, which can strain healthcare systems and increase the burden on younger generations to care for older individuals. Social and cultural impacts. A declining population can also have social and cultural impacts, such as reduced diversity and a shrinking sense of community. It may also lead to a decline in the availability of certain goods and services as businesses adapt to the changing population. Political instability. In some cases, a declining population can lead to political instability as governments struggle to address the challenges associated with a shrinking population. This could lead to increased social unrest and potential conflicts between different groups. What are the advantages of a population collapse? While population collapse can have some negative consequences, such as a shrinking workforce and strained healthcare systems, there are also potential advantages that can come with a declining population. Here are a few possible advantages. Reduced strain on resources. With fewer people to support, there may be less pressure on natural resources such as land, water, and energy. Improved quality of life. With fewer people competing for resources, there may be a higher standard of living for those who remain. For example, there may be less traffic congestion, reduced pollution, and better access to public services. Increased innovation. With a smaller workforce, there may be more opportunities for individuals to pursue their passions and develop new ideas. This could lead to increased innovation and creativity in areas such as science, technology, and the arts. More sustainable growth. A declining population can also lead to more sustainable patterns of growth as there is less pressure to expand at all costs. This could lead to a more balanced and equitable distribution of resources, as well as a more stable economy over the long term. It's worth noting that these potential advantages are not guaranteed, and there are many factors that can influence the impact of population decline on society. However, it's important to consider all the potential outcomes of population decline. The idea of population collapse is a complex and controversial issue that sparks a lot of debate and discussion. Some people view it as a necessary and positive step towards a more sustainable future, while others see it as a looming disaster with potentially dire consequences. Regardless of your perspective, it's clear that the world is changing, and we need to start thinking about how we can adapt to these changes in order to ensure a better future for ourselves and future generations. Whether it's through new technologies, innovative social programs, or smarter policies, we have the power to shape our own destiny and create a world that works for everyone. So let's keep the conversation going and let's work together to build a better world, even in the face of challenges ahead. Because ultimately, the fate of our planet and our species rests in our hands, and it's up to us to rise to the occasion and create a brighter future for all.